That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all a theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see.
Oh, I forgot to turn on my light. It's way over here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now it looks better. That's what happens when you decide to jump on again, all of a sudden. Again, 2 days in a row. Halloween talk. What is going on? One more time! Let's do it! Hey, it's Friday. I was gonna say March. April 1st. April Fools. Happy April Fools. No, I'm not really doing a show. Goodbye, everybody. Sucker. Can you imagine? That'd actually be pretty funny. I should do that. I noticed something this morning that I thought was kind of interesting. So I thought, why not talk about it? It's 11:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, April the 1st, 2022. Friday, 2022. And my name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And I'm just laughing at a conversation I was having that I was having a few moments ago. Yes, top Loomis lapels, top Loomis stances today. Top Loomis shoelaces. We're doing top Loomis shoelaces, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Top Loomis nose hairs. That'd be funny. No, I noticed this. I came across this image on Twitter, which I will show you in a moment. And I noticed that and we've all, like, we know this, but we don't really, at least I've known this, but I haven't really looked at it. There's nothing else to talk about. I haven't really looked at it really closely. I guess having them all together on one image kind of really makes you realize this. Anyways, it was an image of all the Halloween title cards, right? And all the various different fonts of all the Halloween films. And I noticed, I knew this, but I noticed that the font from the original Halloween, right, at the opening of the movie when it says John Carpenter's Halloween, and then the font there is the exact same font they used for Halloween at the opening of 18. Now, we know this. I knew that. You knew that. We know this. Well, the font they use at the beginning of Halloween Kills, although it looks similar to the font from the original Halloween, it is a bit different. And you can really notice the difference in the E's and in the W in the word Halloween. But it is the same font in Halloween Kills. It's the same font from the original Halloween 2 from 1981. I thought, oh, that's interesting. So here you have Halloween 18 has the same font as the original Halloween, and Halloween Kills has the same font as the original Halloween 2. And Halloween Kills, you could say, is like the new Halloween 2. That's kind of interesting. And then I thought, I sat there and I thought to myself, well, I wonder what they're going to do for Halloween Ends. Are they going to follow the same font as Halloween 4? Are they going to follow the same font as Halloween 3? Are they just going to follow the same font as Halloween 2 from 81 or Halloween from 1978? Are they going to pick one of the other movies to pay homage to? I mean, maybe Halloween 5, maybe Halloween H2O, maybe Halloween Resurrection, maybe Rob Zombies. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting kind of thing. So I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to show you here. Let's go over to the other screen. There we are. Oh, why am I really large and in charge here? Let me move myself down to the corner. We don't care about you, Dave. We don't care. So here we are. Okay, so this was the thing that I saw on Twitter, right? And as you can see, it's got, yeah, there we are, right? So you got Halloween at the top there, right? You got Halloween 2 from 81, Halloween 3, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2, and then, of course, Halloween and Halloween Kills. And when you put them all together like this, you really sort of, you really kind of, you're able to see it all at once. And that's what I noticed. So when you look at the font, where's my cursor here? There I am. When you look at the font, right, of Halloween, pay attention to the E's, right, and the W, right? And then you look, of course, at the font. Now, again, we know this of Halloween down here. Same thing, right? Same thing. I wonder if I can make this bigger. See if I can make this bigger just for the purposes of this here. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now I can move it around. So, okay, again, right? Look at the W, right? Look at the E's. Again, I'm not saying anything we don't already know. So if you're like, oh, Dave, I've known that since the movie came out. Yeah, no, I've known that too. I'm just, when you put it all together, this is kind of interesting. So, and then of course, so there you are, right? There's Halloween 18, and then of course, Halloween 78. Look at the W, the E's. Yeah, the exact same font. Now look at the font from Halloween 2 from 1981. Okay, so there you go. So take a look at that W. It's a bit different, right? It's a bit different. This line here goes right into here. It's not the same as this W. It's not the same. The E's are different as well. The E's are not as rounded in the original font. It's very different. But if you look at the title card and font for Halloween Kills, it's the same thing. So here you have that little line there going into this part of the W, that part of the V there, right? It's going into it. And then the E's are not as round, right? We can see it over here. It's not as round. This is the font from Halloween 2 from 1981. So I thought that was really interesting. So now I thought to myself, well, if that is a conscious creative choice, which it must have been, whether it's just because they wanted to use it because it's cool and they wanted to change things up, or if they really were because they're doing their second installment, they wanted to honor, the original second. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of fan service, there's a lot of tipping of the hats, but then I started to think, well, are they going to just continue with that, or are they going to continue the trend? And what other font are they going to use for Halloween Ends? Because the font does change quite a bit from movie to movie. However, when you look at Halloween 4 from 1988, Halloween 4 from 1988 is very similar to the font from Halloween 2. Now, that would be the next Michael Myers movie, right? Halloween 3 does not have Michael Myers. I know he's on the television, but you know what I'm talking about. But again, I think they use the same font from Halloween 2, because you can see the E's are very similar. The W, right? You have that first part of the W going into the last part of the V there, right into it. Now, the H is much bigger. It's like a capital H. And, well, they're all capital letters, but the H is bigger as opposed to being the same size here. So maybe is this what the title card for Halloween Ends is going to look like? It's going to say Halloween, and then Ends is going to be a big capital E with a capital NDS as well, but slightly smaller. Is that what they're going to do? Maybe that's what they're going to do. And they're going to honor the title card from Halloween 4. Or, fuck it. I mean, what else could they do? Could they do Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers? Halloween 5? Listen, Halloween 5 is a shit show, but it's got a pretty cool title card, I will say. The opening credits to Halloween 5 actually is really cool. And in case you haven't noticed here, the subtitle, the Revenge of Michael Myers, does not appear. Now, it's kind of a known thing. We know this, but I don't know if you've really, but some people might be like, oh yeah, it isn't there. Have you ever noticed that the subtitle, The Revenge of Michael Myers, does not actually appear in the opening credits of Halloween 5. It's kind of strange in some ways, but it's not there. It's only on the poster and the VHS, the Blu-rays, DVDs, all that kind of stuff. So that's interesting. Halloween Resurrection, right? Could they use that? Again, very different font. Halloween H2O, different. Rob Zombie's Halloween. I do like, now the posters for Halloween 18 and the posters for Halloween Kills is very different, right? They use more of a similar font like this. I don't think it's quite that font, but it's more similar on the posters. That's what they use. And even, I think, even in the trailers, I think they use this kind of font. I like this. It's clean. It's got a clean sort of just kind of, bold, stark, kind of just clean look to it. It's not fancy. I don't mind that. I don't mind that either. But interesting though. Really, really interesting. Again, we're talking about the title cards here. We're not talking about the font on the posters. The font on the poster for Halloween 18 and Halloween Kills is very different here. The font on the poster for Halloween 1978 and Halloween 2 is very different than I think what you see even on the title card. Although it might be similar. But anyway, pretty interesting. So yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think. Have you noticed this? Yeah, I've noticed it. Okay, all right, you have. But what do you think? Do you think that this is, I mean, it seems very intentional. You know, it seems like it would make sense to go ahead and follow suit. Or, like I said, maybe they're going to use Halloween 3. Maybe they're going to honor Halloween 3 and just use the font from Halloween 3. So just imagine this font, right? And then ends after it. Not necessarily that color against that backdrop, but I mean, you know, it's a black screen, orange color, and it's that font says Halloween Ends. And if it does say that, then you know that that's what, even if they pick anything else, you know that that's what they're doing. They're obviously honoring some of the other films. I think the Halloween 5 font, I could see that Halloween, because that's a bit different. Even though the H is, that actually looks more almost in line of what the font on the original Halloween poster looks like. It almost kind of looks more similar to that. Because the Halloween font, like the font on the poster is not that. But anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. And I thought it was kind of, it's kind of fun. It made me wonder. So comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you're watching after the fact, you let me know what you think. Where are we here? There we go. What you think. Have you noticed that before? What title card, what font do you think they're going to use for Halloween Ends? I don't know. Do you think they're just going to go back to the original, just do what they did for Halloween Kills? Or maybe they'll tip their hat to Halloween 4. That was the next Michael Myers movie in the original saga. Maybe that's what they'll do, which is essentially the font from Halloween Kills, but with a larger capital H. That's really all that would change. And if we see that when we go to the theater this October, and if we see that, then we know that I was right. That's what they were doing. It's kind of cool. Hey, let's go to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. What do you want to talk about? I can be with you for a little bit. Let's chat. Let's chat and see what you guys are talking about. Get those questions in. What do you think? Alex Schambach says, since HNs has no synonymous movie, I think I should go with its own it should go with its own unique title card. Also, make me interested in what they will do with the opening credits. How will it differ from the first two? That's true too. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying in terms of it, but I still think that you could pull from one of the other films for sure and make it interesting. I think you could still pull from one of the other films. Tabitha Short! Tabitha says, or maybe they'll use the font from Halloween Resurrection because that was the last Michael Myers movie before Zombie. Maybe. Or maybe they'll use cartoon font. I would love it. If it was very cartoony font, like very bubbly, children's animated font. I think that would be so funny. Like something you would watch on it's like something that would be on an animated cartoon that would appeal to infants. It's clearly cartoon, big cloud-like bubbly font. I think would be just absolutely hilarious. I think it'd be great. Ronnie Burns says, I think they should create a font not from the other movies, but like something new. Well, they may do that. JM Horror Guy says, Frank being in a good mood means he's watched the Halloween 2 hot tub scene at least once today. Oh, is Frank in a good mood? Oh, there he is. Frank says, if you walk in the wrong moment during Halloween 2, you could assume Mrs. Elrod did a carry and started... Oh, Frank. Yes, that is true. I guess you could make that assumption. You could make that assumption. It's always possible. Jim Dorsey says, is Dave making this topic as an April Fool's joke? No, it's not. I know it might appear that way, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Of course, if you want to take it as an April Fool's joke, you can take it as an April Fool's joke. Tomorrow, though, I'm doing top Loomis lapels and top Loomis stances and top nose hairs in the Halloween universe. It's crazy. Now, you have to zoom up. You got to zoom up. Because of the pixels and depending on the quality of the image, you might not, get but I'm telling you, I've compiled a list, top 10 nose hairs in the Halloween franchise. It's fascinating, really. It's fascinating. And I'll give you a hint. Dr. Loomis is not number one. Dr. Loomis is not number one. I know. Old man, nose hair. I thought he's got to be number one. There's got to be a hell of a bush in there, but no, there's not. Nicole says, I think they'll stick to the 18 kills font, but I'd like to see an homage to an older movie. Fascinating. Yeah. You never know. You never know. I mean, if we're going based on what we've seen so far, Halloween 18 is the Halloween 78 font. Halloween Kills is the Halloween 2 from 1981 font. Then there's no doubt in my mind that well, not no doubt in my mind, but again, if we're going based on that, then there's a high probability that maybe they'll do the Halloween 4 font, which, like I said, is the Halloween 2 Halloween Kills font, just with a capital H, or a larger H, I should say. Let me see here. Reese Wilson says, Mr. Elrod is the real villain of Haddonfield. Michael Myers was damn lucky he was asleep. You could be right on that. I mean, who knows? He might have got up and given Michael a run for his money. Hicks Film says, I think Michael will hang a bunch of bodies on the radio tower. That'd be funny. Aaron Click says, Dave's desperate for views and clicks. No, not desperate for views and clicks. If I was desperate for views and clicks, you'd know. No, I just thought this was an interesting topic because I was scrolling Twitter this morning and I found the image and I thought, well, that's interesting. I'm going to jump on and mention that. But I certainly can understand why somebody might think that. Amstel54 says Charlie Bowles has the best nose hairs. He does. Charlie Bowles has definitely the best nose hairs. JM Horror Guy says, I think the poster for Ends will have some blues in there. I think it would make sense. Oh, you mean like in terms of the color? Maybe. I have a feeling that the poster for Halloween Ends, whatever they do, is going to actually have, like, you know how we had Michael looking one way on the poster? Here's a whole other topic right here. But, it's interesting, right? Michael looking one way on the poster. And then you have Michael looking the other way on the Kills poster, right? So you have, I don't know, I'm mirrored here. So you have, he's looking this way on the 18 poster. Then he's looking this way on the Kills poster. It would make sense to me from, if you're following sort of that pattern, that you would have him like dead on front of him, the face, whatever the face is, we would be looking that the Ends poster would be a straight on shot of Michael. I don't know. Maybe. You never know. Frank Riker sends in a super chat and says, Dave, can you say, keep Mrs. Elrod out of your fucking... Oh my God. Yeah, I could keep Mrs. Elrod out of your fucking mouth. There you go, Frank. There you go. Yes, keep Mrs. Elrod out of your fucking mouth. I'm telling you right now, folks. It's just awful. Just awful. Frank is in a good mood this morning. Mike Johnston says, I agree with you, Dave, that even though Halloween 5 isn't the greatest installment by any stretch of the imagination, the font, color, and title looks pretty cool. It does. It does look pretty cool. I've always liked the opening of Halloween 5 with the, Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. You know, and you see the carving of the, I mean, I don't know who's carving the pumpkin. I don't know. Obviously, it's, you know, it's just a title card. It's just a cool thing to make, you know, because there are some people like, I don't get it. Why? Well, who's carving the pumpkin? What's going on? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, it's separate from the movie. It's not supposed to be actually somebody carving it. It's just this cool little intro thing. Just, you know. But it doesn't say The Revenge of Michael Myers, which is interesting. The Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast says, or he could do a Lloyd Bridges in Airplane and drop upside down from the ceiling. That's true. With the cartoon font, Darren. With the cartoon font. With the cartoon font, for sure. Robert Thinoff says, Dave, great analysis. More in-depth than watching the Zapruder film. Thank you very much. Also, I predict there is going to be a twist in Halloween Ends. You know somebody right now, somebody watching this is going to be looking at this and my analysis going, oh, well, that's really fascinating. That's really interesting. And it's going to make their day. It's going to make their day. Totally. That'd be funny. Ronnie Byrne says, the poster for Halloween Ends, I think, should have Michael looking down on Laurie, Allison, and Lindsay. Like, looking down on them like they're disgusting? Oh, you mean just like with his head looking down? I thought you meant like, you know, with like a facial expression, like, you're nothing. No, I'm just busting your balls. I know what you mean. Yeah, well, maybe, right? I don't know. Both Halloween Ends and Halloween Kills have been very simple, so they may follow that same suit. But his mask might just be from the front this time. You know, that wouldn't surprise me. You know, you've gone from the left, you've gone from the right. Maybe they'll go from the front. I don't know. Yes, I Love Lucy episode 2 is coming next week, followed by my top 35 Leave It to Beaver moments. My top 35 Leave It to Beaver moments, followed, Darren, you'll like this one, followed by my top 476 moments from Fawlty Towers. That's what I'm doing. I have compiled a list of 476 outrageous and hilarious moments from Fawlty Towers, and I got the title cards all set. It's going to be one of my biggest episodes. It's going to be one of my biggest videos ever. I estimate it's probably going to be about 7.5 hours long. And I'm just going to go full throttle, full tilt right into it. 476 moments from Fawlty Towers, and hopefully people will tune in because, you know, I think it's going to be a great show. Oh my God, that'd be funny. Let's see here. Joshua Graham says, looking down on them like sneering. Yes. Pfft, you piece of shit. You goddamn son of a bitch. That'd be so funny. I'd love it. Let me see. Let me go. I'm just scrolling back to see. Okay, Frank was the only super chat, right? Just want to make sure. Yes. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything in this riveting episode. Where is there we are. There you guys are. I have so many tabs open all the time. Let me see. Let me scroll back. Oh, no, I got that. No, I didn't get this one. Amstel54 says, Dave, I believe a Season of the Witch remake made by someone like Ty West could really work. Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think of his style. Maybe. I still think that's the direction that they're going to go in. I do. I still think that after Halloween Ends is done, depending on if Halloween Ends is if it's a juggernaut of a success for whatever reason, it's like a $200 million movie, then they'll probably continue with Michael and whoever else. But if Halloween Ends is like, it's going to be successful for sure. But if it makes, let's say, as much as Halloween Kills, which was fine, then I think they are going to stop for a little bit. I think this is going to be the end. Certainly it's going to be the end for a little while, because unless they want to hire somebody else to direct, because David Gordon Green is moving on to The Exorcist. And they now that Blumhouse got the rights for a 3-picture deal with The Exorcist, that doesn't mean that they're going to do all 3 movies. It just means that there's something in place for them to do that. Because if The Exorcist, for whatever reason, is a colossal failure, then they're not going to go off and do the other 2 films, right? So The Exorcist, the Return, the next Exorcist movie, be prepared that it will probably end in a similar fashion as, I would think anyway, as Halloween 18. Like, although you hear Nick Castle's breathing at the end of the credits, right, letting you know that he's still there, Halloween 18, you could have just ended it there, and we would have assumed, oh, well, he died in the fire, I mean, the ending felt abrupt and it was a little strange, but you could have just ended it there. I think The Exorcist, I get a feeling that's, maybe it's just because it's the same director and the same crew. I have a feeling that it's probably going to end in a similar way. That yes, they could go on, but it kind of feels like you could end it there too. And then if it's really successful, they'll make the other one. So I think, but I just have this feeling that they're going to turn their sights maybe to Halloween 3. Now, what does that mean? A reboot, a remake, a series, a limited series? I don't know. I have no idea yet, but I think that's what they're going to do. Super chat comes in from Jordan Ellis. Thank you, Jordan Ellis. Really appreciate it. Says, there is a part of me that would be okay if Hawkins is the one who kills Michael, only if it was done right. But more than likely, Laurie will kill him. Who knows? Yeah, I could see that, because it kind of... I think it has to be Laurie. If Michael does die, I think it's got to be her, because, at least in my opinion, because it's Laurie Strode, And although the Laurie Strode from Halloween 2 and Halloween H2O and Halloween Resurrection and the talked about always there, sort of, even though she's dead in 4, 5, and 6, it's still Laurie Strode, and it began with them. I think it should end with them. Hawkins killing Michael makes a little sense because of how they've woven his story into the narrative now. Like, now we know that Hawkins had the opportunity to kill Michael. He fucked up. He was probably new on the force. He was nervous. He fucked up. And now, him actually killing Michael from a character development point of view and an arc would feel like he sees this as an opportunity to right the many wrongs and sort of get rid of the demons that he's carried his whole life for 40 years about accidentally shooting his friend and killing him. I could see that, but I don't know, because that was suddenly introduced to us in the second. I just don't think the movies are strong enough. I don't think depending on what they do with ends, I mean, maybe they're going to make it really make sense and feel really like something they should do. But as of right now, thinking about Halloween 18, thinking about Halloween Kills, I don't want that, because it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel earned. It not yet. Depending on what they wove and give us in ends, maybe it will. Maybe it'll be like, maybe by the end of the movie, if it's Laurie that does it, maybe I'll be like, should have been Hawkins, like, maybe. But as of right now, I still think it should be Laurie. But it's an interesting thought. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Another super chat comes in from WA. Sends in $1.99. Says, Dave talking anything Halloween. Dave's fans wet. Yes, it's true. Oh, it's totally true. 100%. I talk Halloween. That's what it is. That's what happens. That's what happens right there. That's what happens, folks. Wet on wet, yeah. Fleximetry. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Says, as long as Hawkins doesn't take 15 seconds to draw down on him like Brackett did. I agree. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Brackett was, and that line too, because that's another thing, right? When you think about the writing of Kills, and listen, I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest writer, but certainly, I think I'm okay. And when it comes to, like, I get that Brackett, like the line, It's just so funny. When you think about it, and I know it's a slasher movie and, you can't take it seriously. But Brackett's saying, hey, Michael, it's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. It's actually kind of funny. Like in the trailer, it played out all right in the trailer or the TV spot or whatever it was that we saw it. It played out all right. But in the movie, it's actually kind of hilarious because was that a line was that his catchphrase? Was that something that Brackett just always said? Because when you hear him say it in the original Halloween, it feels like a throwaway line. It feels like just something he came up with in that moment because he bumped into Laurie. He's like, oh, excuse me, Laurie. Sorry about that. Well, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare. Now, I know he doesn't say it like that. He says it a lot more slimy. Hey, Laurie. I get it. But that's the intention of it, right? That was probably the first time at that moment that he had ever said it in his life. It's just banter. It's casual in the moment, shooting from the hip, off the cuff banter, right? It's banter. That's what it is. It's like, oh, sorry, Laurie. Well, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare. Oh, yeah. See you later, bye. That's what it is. The fact that he would even remember that he said that 40 years later, like he's been waiting for this moment. If I ever get a chance to stand in front of Michael, I know what I'm going to say. Hey, Michael, it's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. I get that. Again, it's just for the fans. It's purely fan service. I understand that. I get that. But I do think it's kind of funny. It's like, why? What would be the motivation for the character to say that? This line that he just said once in passing 40 years ago, unless that's just his thing. That's his catchphrase. Every Halloween, people are like, don't go up to Brackett. Don't go up to Lee. Why? Because he's going to say it. He's going to say it. And like he runs around the hospital looking for people to bump into just so he could say it. Oh, sorry, nurse. Well, yeah, I know, Lee. I know. It's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. Damn it. God, come on, Julie. I got to be able to say it. It's like this thing, Oh man, that'd be so funny. All right, super chat from Jordan Talks Film sends in $1.99. Thank you, Jordan. Says it needs to be Allison. She deserves to kill. She deserves the kill. To be honest, I don't think it does. For me personally, even though it. We've now been told that it's not about you, Laurie. He's not after you at all. Okay, but it's still Laurie Strode. She's still, it began. She is the main protagonist. She's just as much a symbol of the series, of the franchise, of horror than he is. I think if now again, that doesn't mean that you couldn't have it as Allison and make it work, of course. But in my mind, if I was writing it, I would want it to be her and him. It goes down. That doesn't mean that Allison dies. I mean, maybe she puts up a hell of a fight and maybe she's injured and she's off in the corner and she's like, Grandma, no, whatever. Like I don't mean you sideline her character. Certainly her character should have a lot to do in this movie. But I just think at the end of the day, when it comes to that final moment, if they are going to die, then I do think, Unless Laurie, the only other way that I would be okay with Laurie dying and it not being with Michael kind of to end it all is that she's sacrificing herself to save her granddaughter. It's got to be something. It can't be a cheap kill. Like it for Christ's sakes, don't do it like Brackett. Don't do it like Marion. Don't do it like Tommy. That's what worries me. And if they didn't do that in Halloween Kills, I might not be worried because I'd be sitting here thinking, nah, they're not going to. No, they treated the legacy characters in Halloween Kills like they were really expendable and just like everybody else. Like, the lady that brings the iron, with her, she's known as the Iron Lady. She's got the iron. I mean, she's just as expendable as everybody else. The doctor that was killed with the knife to the eye is just as important and as expendable as Marion was and as Tommy was, and as Brackett was. I mean, there were no real moments for them. No moments of like, they didn't give their moment in death to shine. And so would they treat Laurie Strode like that? Maybe. I mean, you wouldn't think they would, but they treated Tommy like that, and Brackett like that, and Marion like that, right? So, that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see, Laurie, she's getting into her car, and all of a sudden Michael leaps up from the back seat, tilts her head back, slices her throat, blood comes out, Allison's in the car, oh my God, and she runs away. And it's like, that's it? That's how Laurie goes out? Really? That's it? No, make it mean something. Give it some weight. Give it some bottom. Make it mean something. So, I'm okay if she doesn't make it to the end, or makes it to the end but dies and does, you know what I mean? And Allison's I'm okay with that, but you gotta give her some weight. This is Laurie Strode. This is arguably more, next to Michael Myers, she is the most popular character in the entire franchise, played by the same actress for so many films. I know the others don't exist, but you know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, you've got to give her something. You got to give her something. You can't just have her go out like Brackett, Fuck. That'd be terrible. Super chat comes in from Jonathan Grant, sends in 20 pounds. Well, thank you, Jonathan, for the very generous super chat. I appreciate that. Appreciate? Yeah, no, I said that right. Yeah, very generous super chat. I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. I think I said all that right. Hi, Dave. Just wanted to say thank you for your videos. I've been in a bad way. Oh, dude, sorry to hear that. In October, I had a stroke. Oh, no. Which has done my right side in a state. Funny thing is, it was the same day I saw Halloween Kills. Oh, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, listen, let me just say that I'm glad you're doing, that you're still here and that you're hanging in. Hopefully you have, good supportive people around you, and that things are getting better. That's the most important thing at the end of the day, right? Is our health. And I mean, it sounds like such an overused cliche, but it's totally true. I mean, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. We literally can't do anything. Health is the number one most important thing. We have to take care of ourselves. And I'm not saying that you weren't, of course. I mean, hey, we're also at the mercy of life and genes, and sometimes shit happens, right? So, I'm really sorry to hear that. Hopefully you're okay, dude. And, I wish you the best. I wish you the best. I hope things continue to get well. And like I said, that you have a good support system around you. So, stay strong, Jonathan. Stay strong, man. Stay strong. And thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that very much. Let me see here. Evil Alex says, I loved how they treat the characters from for Michael, where nobody has died like the rest. I actually love that. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I loved how they treat the characters from for Michael. There were nobodies and died like the rest. I actually loved that. Oh, so you liked that they treated them that way. Okay. I can understand that. Sure. If that's, I can understand your thought process behind that. I didn't like that. I think when you are bringing back legacy characters and you're going to kill them, there's nothing wrong with killing them, but I think they should be, that doesn't mean there has to be an epic, dramatic moment for each character. And certainly because Halloween Kills was stuffed to the gills, that didn't leave them a lot of, wiggle room to really give these characters proper moments, proper goodbyes kind of things. And there's many different ways that you can do that. So yeah, I that wouldn't have been what I would have done. I would have done sort of more of a moment. Let me see here. Ispanul. Am I saying that right? Is that a play on words? Ispadnul. Interesting. Maybe I'm saying that incorrectly, but hey, Thanks for the super chat, man. $1.99 in euros. Thank you. I'm assuming they're going to end HNs like the OG. Oh, I see what you're saying. So Michael sort of, falls off something or whatever the case is, and they look and he's gone I hope not. It just feels like I think this has to have a conclusion. There has to be a definitive conclusion. For me, that's what I want to see. I want to see a definitive conclusion. Like I said yesterday on the show, that doesn't mean you can't have questions, questions that you desperately want answers to. You can definitely have that. You can definitely have some questions and things like that. But I want to see a definitive conclusion with a little bit of that, interesting. That's what I'd like to see. Frank Riker. Oh, Frank's sending another super chat. He must be in a good mood. Thanks, Frank. He says, if they turn the radio tower into a big magnet and Michael gets stuck to it from all his internal bullets, I'll burn the theater down. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they actually did that? They actually did that. They actually went to that extreme and did that. No, I don't think so. Obviously they're not going to do that. That's crazy. But that would be funny. And he's this, that'd be so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know what the radio tower is going to be. Like I said, I have that bold theory video. I think it's got over 20 something thousand views. People were losing their minds over that video. And I've had people say, so that's what you think? It's like, no. No. Is that what you think? And is that what you want? Or so that's what you want? No, it's not. A, it's not what I want at all. And B, it's not what I think they're definitely going to do. I was just giving an example of maybe, hey, here's some food for thought. This is interesting, right? I have no idea what they're going to do in terms of the radio tower. There's a lot of people that have given some great theories, even on yesterday's show, that maybe the radio tower is broadcasting, a warning to everybody, or there's a show and everybody is shut in their homes and they're listening to this program. That's an idea. There's an idea that, they climb the radio tower and somebody falls to their death. That's an idea. There's an idea that maybe the radio tower is emanating something and there's an actual cave underneath the radio tower. Maybe that's an idea. There's maybe cave dwellers refers to just people staying in their homes. That's an idea. There's many different ways that you can go with it. And the radio tower may actually not play as big of a role as maybe we're thinking, right? So there's many different things that you could do. Many different things that you could do, for sure. Super chat comes in from Dar Fitness, sends in $5. Thank you, Dar. Says, please make it stop. Can you imagine if there weren't any movies after H2O when Laurie chopped his head off? Yeah, can you imagine if there weren't any movies after Halloween 2 from 1981 when Michael burned to death in the hospital? For those of you that may not know and maybe knew, that is the series to me. That's the series. Halloween 1 and 2. That's it. That's really the only movies I watch, to be honest with you. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't watch some of the other ones, but it's usually on like a Saturday movie night on my channel, or like with Tony on a Two Dudes, or something to that degree. Now, I do like Halloween 4. I do. I think it doesn't hold a candle to the original, of course, and I even think part 2 is better than Halloween 4. But I do like 4. I think 4 is a decent, again, the mask, and we could talk all about the issues with it. But I think 4 is fine. And I'm actually okay with the ending. I actually really love the ending of Halloween 4. I think it's great. The problem is they made another one. That's the problem. And I've often said that if they had ended, like, to me, the series, he's burning to death, okay? Like, look at how engulfed he was in that Inferno. I mean, come on. But, okay, they make Halloween 4. But if you had ended with Halloween 4, the trick is not to do another one, because it's true. Where do you go? Like, you have Jane, like, what? But just end it there, because it's full circle. I've said it many times. Can you imagine if they had cut to black? Well, they did cut to black. But if they'd cut to black and there was never another Halloween film? Oh, how powerful that moment would be. Evil would have won. See, that's the difference between the ending of Halloween 4 and the ending of Halloween H2O. The ending of Halloween H2O is the warm and cuddly, ending where good wins, good prevails, evil is defeated. Well, so we thought, right? But if they had never made another one, right? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you can go that way. But I much prefer the ending of Halloween 4. Much prefer the ending of Halloween 4 because that is, I should do a video on this. That's a video right there. I don't have to go live for that though. I can just do a recorded video for that. That's interesting. But anyway, yeah, that's what, can you imagine? That would be wild. That'd be wild because evil had won. It came full circle. There's a little girl in a clown costume standing at the top of the stairs, just stabbing, after stabbing somebody. And there's Loomis is going, no. Why is he doing that? Because he realizes it's starting again. He realizes it's starting all over again. It's happening again. And he was ready to shoot her. He was ready to shoot a child. Cut to black. Wow. What an ending. Loomis was right. Evil won. It's great. I love it. You don't need to know what happened after that. It's assumed that she was probably taken into custody and thrown in in some sort of asylum. Yeah. Okay. We can imagine that, and we don't need to know, right? That's the point, is that, oh my God, no, it's great. It's great. That should have been it. That should have been it. That should have been it. As far as I'm concerned. Maybe I will do a video on that. Because again, I've talked about it like I just did here. I've talked about it in past shows and streams. I've mentioned it, but I've never done like a specific video on it. And maybe I'll do that. And it wouldn't take long. Maybe, well, with me, but maybe like a 5-10 minute video, maybe. Wouldn't take long. 10 minutes. It is me after all. But yeah, I think I might do that because that would be a cool video to have up there that the algorithms can pick up. That'd be awesome. All right, let's see here. Vince, oh, here it is. Tarullo. I always get this for some reason. I think it's because it's the second A. Anyway, hey Vince, what's going on, buddy? I thought for some reason that said 85. It's $5. Thank you very much. Michael joins forces with his variants from the OG Run and the Rob Zombie films to terrorize Haddonfield and Halloween the night there was no way home. Oh God. Oh, Vince, man, that would be a catastrophic failure, in my opinion. That would be like, what? No, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. That'd be funny though. It's like the multiverse of madness when it comes to Halloween and Michael Myers. Connor, I don't have my glasses. Hang on a sec. Microphone's in the way. Connor Brierly, I think is how you say that. Thank you, Connor. Sends in £5. Thank you. And says, hi, Dave. Really enjoying the videos and the videos with Tony too. Well, thank you, Connor. Really appreciate that, man. I'm glad that myself and Tony can entertain you and that you enjoy the content. Thanks very much. And Brianne Ivanitsky, I think is how you say that, just sent in $10 to support the channel. Well, thank you, Brianne. Really appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's awesome. JM Horror Guy says, Dave was bitten by a radioactive spider when he was 16 years old. So Dave, me? You're talking about me, or I don't know who you guys are talking about now. I'm not sure. Who? Dave? Like me, Dave? I don't know. Mike Johnson says, I respect that, Dave. Honestly, Halloween 1 and 2 alone are fantastic and are satisfying enough. Don't get me wrong. I love a lot of the others, of course, but I get what you mean. Yeah, well, I just think that, a bit of that is nostalgia for me too, because, I'm sounds like I'm saying I'm so old. I'm not old, of course. I'll be 43 next month, so it's not old. But because when I first watched Halloween, the only movies that existed was Halloween 1 and 2. That was it, right? So when Halloween 4 came out in 88, I was 9, but I was already into horror movies before that, as a lot of us kids growing up through the late 70s, into the 80s, into the late 80s were. I mean, you know, it's very different now. Parents now, well, I mean, it depends on who you are, and what kind of a parent you are. But, you know, it was a very common thing, as you know, if you're my age or a bit older, you know, even a bit younger, you know that growing up, it was totally common to be like 6 years old watching horror movies, right? So when I got into horror, thanks to my brother Neil, who got me into horror and got me into Halloween, when I got into that in like, you know, I don't know, 84, 85, 86, you know, there was no Halloween 4. There was Halloween 3, but at that time, especially at that time, it was like, oh, that we don't talk about that movie. That's the shitty one. That's the one that doesn't have Michael in it, right? So there was no Halloween 4. So the only Michael Myers movies that existed was Halloween 1 and 2, or were Halloween 1 and 2. So obviously there's nostalgia there, for sure. But I genuinely really do just think of that as the series. It makes sense to me. Although Halloween 1 is my favorite, and I much prefer the motiveless, you know, not after his sister, unexplained. I much prefer Michael in the first movie, just there. I do like Halloween 2. Because I think it puts a bookend on the whole thing really well, you know, and he burns to death. Makes sense. Halloween 4 I like because I think it's probably the best. I think Halloween 4, in terms of its tone and its lighting and its style, again, although because it's not anamorphic and it's very different, it feels like Halloween way more than 5 does. Way more than 6 does, although 6 feels more like Halloween than 5. And certainly more than H2O and Resurrection and Rob Zombie's films. And you know what I mean? So it probably was the last decent sequel. But again, it depends on how you grew up, because there's a lot of people that watch me that their first introduction was Halloween H2O, and they have a lot of nostalgia for that. They love Halloween H2O. I can't stand Halloween H2O. I mean, there's things about it that I think are okay. But as a Halloween movie, I think it's not very good. It's awful. So yeah, but for me, the series is 1 and 2. And then I'll watch Halloween 4 because it's kind of cool. But that ending there, but I never will like pop in 5 or 6 or H2O or Resurrection. No. The only time I will watch those films really, yes, is if I'm doing a Saturday movie night or 2 dudes or whatever, you know. Like when I watched Halloween H2O for 2 dudes, or I forget which one was first. That was the first time I had seen it in like almost 20 years, you know, or at least 15. Like I don't watch that movie. Why would I watch it? It's not a good Halloween movie. I would much rather watch the first 2 or 4 or, you know, whatever, right? So, but that's me. That's me though. Everybody's different, man. Everybody's different. Everybody's working for the weekend. Hey, the weekend is here. Let's see. Reese Wilson sends in a very generous 30 Australian dollars, 31 Australian dollars essentially, because it's $30.99. Thank you very much, Reese, for that. That's awesome, dude. Thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. The Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast sends in 4. Thank you very much, Darren, for 4.5 pounds. I guess that would be Reese Wilson. Reese Wilson? Did Reese Wilson just... did he just send in 31... He did! He did! Amazing. We love Reese. Reese is awesome. Fellow Indiana Jones fan, by the way. And, you know, but to the point where he's actually got the Indiana Jones fedora. Yeah, there's Indiana Jones fans out there, but when you invest in an authentic fedora, you're part of the club. It's a secret club. We meet on Saturdays. Let me see here. Doodle-a-doodle-a-doo. Okay, did I miss any? I don't think I did. I don't believe I did. I don't think I did anyway. Let me just keep this. Okay. Tab City. Tabitha! The producer's cut from Halloween 6 sucks. You know, it's funny, Tabitha, a lot of people like the producer's cut better because it gives them, and it does. It does. The producer's cut of Halloween 6 does give more context to the bits and pieces that were not developed enough or maybe not quite make sense in the theatrical cut. I can totally understand why people like the producer's cut better. I am often asked which I prefer. I always say, well, neither, because yes, the producer's cut gives more context, but it's giving more context to an already shitty story. It's not like the story's different, you know? I mean, it's the same thing. And Michael at the end of the producer's cut walks off into the shadows with a trench coat and a fedora. I mean, it's like, come on. Like, seriously? You know, like, I mean, I can't take that shit seriously. I mean, it's just hilarious to me. Anyway, but if you like the producer's cut, all power to you. All power to you. Bob Birkin says, way too expensive. I guess you guys are talking about, you talking about the Indiana Jones fedora, maybe? Maybe that's what you're talking about. If you are, yeah, they are very expensive, but it makes sense, right? It's like the authentic Michael Myers masks that are created from independent artists. You're paying for, not that you don't know this, of course, but you're paying for the talent. Now, the Indiana Jones hat, like the Raiders hat that I bought, was about $450, $500 US or something like that. But it's totally worth it. I mean, this is somebody who has a gift and a talent who is creating it by hand. It's not a mass-produced thing that's on the shelf that he just takes off and ships it to me. It's 100% beaver felt, right? It's made to fit my head, so it's made to order, right? He doesn't have a bunch of these on the shelf that he just packages up and ships. So, yeah, you're paying for the talent. You're paying for the artistry and the talent that goes into creating it from scratch. You know, and that's why these things are so expensive, because you can't go to a store and buy a mass-produced one. Now, I mean, you can, but they don't look nearly as good. They don't feel nearly as good. They're not nearly as good. Again, you know that, of course. But yeah, that's why a lot of these things that are replicas, they look so good, you know, because, you know, the studios, Disney couldn't put something that looked like my Raiders hat, mass produce that on the shelf. They'd have to charge like $900 for that. They just couldn't do it. They need to create something that's quick and easy and cheap that does the trick, and they can sell it for $30, you know? But they probably made it for like $5. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy, but if you can save up and you're a big fan of whatever it is, right? Whether it's Indiana Jones or, you know, Freddy Krueger glove or something, whatever. If you can save up and buy it, it's pretty darn cool. It's pretty darn cool. It's just about saving, you know. Hey, and for some people, it's not worth it, right? For some people, it's not worth it. But it is pretty cool. Let me see. Texas Tootin'. I like that. Texas Tootin' sends in $5, says, hey, Dave, do you think HNs will take a more intimate approach to the story regarding Laurie and Michael, or will we get more badass Michael? Well, like I spoke about yesterday on the show, Texas Tootin', it is no secret that David Gordon Green has said, he said this at a screening of Halloween Kills last year. He said that Halloween Ends is a smaller film. So what does that mean? Well, it generally means smaller in Halloween Kills for a Halloween movie. There was a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of locations, a lot of set pieces, a lot of extras, a lot of coordination. The logistics of Halloween Kills was very big for a Halloween movie. I mean, it's not a Star Wars movie. It's not, Ben-Hur. It's not Planet of the Apes. But for a Halloween movie, a lot of moving parts, a lot of locations, right? A lot of extras, a lot of things to, I guarantee you the AD on that film had his or her work cut out for them, for sure. For sure. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on. Halloween Ends, I think they're dialing that back. So in terms of the cast, in terms of the scale, in terms of the logistics, I think it's not going to be as production heavy, okay? you're not going to have 500 extras. I mean, maybe you will, I don't know. But that's one thing that it could mean, right? We're dialing back the logistics of the production. It's a smaller scale film. It also could mean that smaller in narrative, right? Like you said, more intimate. And I think it will be. We're fast forwarding 4 more years. Where are these characters now? What have they gone through in that 4 years? They've gone to therapy, I would imagine. Where is Laurie now? She's a different person than she was. They're all going to be different people in 2022 than they were in 2018. So I think we are going to see the interplays of those relationships and where they are now. I do think, like David Gordon Green said, that Ends is really kind of like a coming of age kind of film. So that would make sense, that it really is going to be more about the relationships and the characters and things like that. Maybe even a little bit more like Halloween 18 was, in comparison to kills. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get kills, and it doesn't mean you're not going to get death, and it doesn't mean you're not going to get Michael Myers. You will, but do I think you're going to get it to the degree for which you got it in Kills? Probably not. It's probably going to be more like maybe even the original film, which I'm okay with. Because I wasn't a big fan of what they did in Kills. I much prefer the lurking, the stalking. That's what I want to see. The there, not there. Really utilize that light and shadow. Utilize the shape boogeyman of Michael Myers. Do that. This is it. This is Halloween Ends. This is it. Stick the landing. Go out on a high note. Really, really, really do it. Make it your own, of course. Tell your own story, obviously. But really deliver on that. Lurking and stalking. Let's see more of that, please. And a chase scene that lasts longer than 30 seconds. We want to see that. Definitely. So yeah, fingers crossed. Andrew Stephen sends in $10 and says, for the channel, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you very much, Andrew. Really appreciate that. Happy Friday to you and to everyone out there as well. Juan Rivera says, hey, Dave, do you and your bro have the same agreements about the Halloween movies? I think you're talking about my brother Neil, right? Would you ever have him on the show to talk about his introduction to Halloween? Well, that's interesting. Maybe. I don't know if Neil would be up for it. But I can certainly say that, yes, Neil and I have very similar attitudes towards Halloween, because it was Neil. He's 9 years older than me. So I have 4 siblings. I have a half sister, Katie, shout out to Katie, who is 8 years younger than me. She lives out in Nova Scotia, out east. And I have 3 other direct siblings. I don't know how you'd say that. I guess, from the same mom and dad, direct siblings. I'm having a brain fart here. And they're all older than me. So my sister Jill, shout out to Jill, she's 15 years older than me. My brother Neil and Bob, they are 11 and 9 years older than me. And no, I was not a mistake. I was not the mistake. I was planned. And my mother was going to have another kid after me too, but she was 35 when she had me, and she was it was a rough pregnancy, to say the least. So she decided not to. So that's why I'm so much younger than my siblings. But that being said, but it's also why, even though I was a young boy growing up through the 80s, I remember the 80s very well, like I almost was a teenager in the 80s, because I had siblings that were that age. So, even though, let's say, in 1986, I was 7, I remember 1986 kind of like I was 13 or something, So, because not everybody has that advantage, right? At least that's my guess of why I remember the 80s so well. But anyway, that being said, my brother Neil was the one that loved Michael Myers, loved Halloween, and he told me that the reason, and not that he didn't like Freddy or Jason, he did, but the reason why he really got into Michael and Halloween, because he said it was the first horror movie he ever watched that didn't give him nightmares. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's funny. And of course, he loved the mask and the music and all that kind of stuff, obviously. But anyway, so he was the one that showed me the original film and told me what he liked about it and all that kind of stuff. So he was a big influence. He really made me appreciate a lot of those things that we talk about, So he really loves the first movie, really likes Halloween 2 as well. I remember for Neil's 18th birthday in 1988, I distinctly have this memory. It was in my house in Bolton, Ontario in 1988. And it's funny because we actually moved out of that house a month later. So this was one of the last memories I have of being in that house. And my brother Neil's birthday is October the 29th. So he's like almost a Halloween baby. And I remember on October I don't know, when did Halloween 4 release? When was Halloween 4's release date? Let me just see here. Halloween 4. Just going to Wikipedia. It was released on October 21st, 1988. Yeah, so I don't know when October 29th was. Let me just see here. This is kind of fun. October 1988 calendar. October 1988 calendar. So October 21st was a Friday. So yeah, it might have been that Friday. My brother's birthday would have been the following Saturday. Maybe it was that Friday. Maybe it was the Friday night. Anyway, I remember standing in my kitchen with my brother Neil, little 9-year-old Dave, and my mom, and my brother Neil's friend Roy was coming to pick him up because they were heading to the theater to watch Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, of course, I was too young to go. I guess I could have gone with them, I guess. But, you know, I didn't want to tag her little, you know, I was still the little brother after all. But it was for my brother Neil's 18th birthday. And I specifically remember Neil being in the kitchen going, yes, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Woo! I just remember him doing that. It's funny what you remember, right? But I remember him doing that. And I remember being like, oh, yeah, Halloween 4, yeah, Return of Michael Myers. Now, I can't remember. I mean, I probably went to bed before he got home, but I don't remember the conversation we had about it, but I'm sure Neil had a lot, because he would have had a lot to say about it, the mask and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of funny, yeah. I totally remember him getting so excited to go see Halloween 4 for his birthday because he was a big Halloween fan. Kind of fun. All right. Did I get all the super chats? I think so. Oh, Frank Riker sends in another one. Thank you. Frank's in a great mood today. Dave, can you do an episode on which Halloween movie looked better played backwards? Well, I'm actually doing an episode on which Halloween movie is played backwards with heads exploding. So, like all these sounds of heads exploding and things like that, like the original end credits to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. That's what I'm going to do, Frank. It's going to be fascinating. And whether or not we can pick up on any sort of nudity, what the nudity looks like going backwards. It's strange. It's weird, but I've got that coming very soon. Can you imagine? Oh my God. There are people though. There are people, you know, that are out there that do a lot of crazy stuff for sure. All right. Let me see. Okay. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, Halloween 4 would even be better if Loomis had shot Jamie 6 times and she falls down the steps. Then Loomis kneels down to check her pulse. Then Jamie rises up to slice his throat like the scene in Halloween 2. Oh, man. I would have loved to have seen Loomis haul off and... It would never have made it past the MPA or the MPAA as it was known at the time. It would never have made it past. Can you imagine a horror film? You have Donald Pleasance unloading his gun on a 12-year-old child at the top of the stairs. And listen, if he had done it, I would have wanted to see the squibs. I would have wanted to see blood squibs like crazy. Blood flying off her chest and everything. Blood squibs going like crazy. Totally. And then it should be like almost like a Naked Gun moment. I'm not saying they did this in the Naked Gun, but a moment where you're like, what? Like there's so many bullets that are flying that there's too many bullets for even his gun. You're like, wait a minute, that was 6 shots. Well, he's up to 12, he's up to 13. And then you realize that Meeker and the deputies are getting in on it, and they're like, and the kid, now everybody is shooting. It's crazy. The amount of rounds that are going off is absolutely insane. like just the squibs, and the blood is getting onto the lens of the camera and everything, and there's screaming going on, and then like, woo, cops show up because they've called for backup. They burst in, and then they just start shooting, but they don't know what they're shooting at. There's like smoke and everything. You can't even see Jamie anymore. You can't even see her anymore. There's so much like smoke and gunpowder residue all over the place, and the noise. There's everything. There's blood on the walls from the squibs and everything. The scissors are like, they're going down the stairs one by one. It's like, what is going on? Nobody knows. More cops are coming over. They come in. They just see and hear the other police officers shooting, but nobody knows what they're shooting at anymore. And they're just. And the walls are getting decimated from bullet holes, and everything is just, and picture frames are falling off the wall and everything. It's like, holy shit, what? This should be a video. This should be its own video. I should do this as its own video. This would be epic. That's a fun video to do. I think I've done that before. A little bit. I've talked about how I wish Dr. Loomis would have just unloaded on Jamie, but I'm telling you right now, this is what Yes, I'm totally recording this video. I have to record this video. Man, that'd be so. And I'm gonna go even further with it. I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I'm gonna go even further with this epic Halloween 4 ending. Totally, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. Oh man, that'd be fun. It's crazy. It's like a 15-minute scene. Woo! All right, shut up, Dave. Save it for the video. Diamond Rattler sends in $2. Says, Michael died in Kills. That's my theory. Michael died in Kills? That's your theory? So he's a ghost in Halloween Ends then? Or you think maybe they're taking more of the... He's a ghost? Because James Jude Courtney was on set. I don't know what... You think it's all a dream? I've heard people say that. God, don't do that. No, it's not a dream. Laurie wakes up at the end of Halloween Ends and she realizes that, no, that'd be awful. That'd be terrible. With all due respect to those who want it as a dream. That'd be terrible. That'd be awesome, though. I'm telling you, I shot him 6,666 times. Oh, my God. I'm telling you, I'm totally doing that. Totally doing it. JM Horror Guy says, all you need now is Leslie Nielsen for that scene, Dave. Oh, no. It's true. He's sadly passed away. Vince, my man, sends in another $5. Says, fun fact, Voldemort killed the Potters on Halloween night. If only they'd gone down the street to the Mackenzies for help. Oh, I didn't know that. Is that true? I've seen some of the... I could see that being true, actually. Yeah, and that would be deliberate. I mean, we think about paganism and witchcraft and all the rituals and black magic. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's interesting. That's true. If only they went down to the Mackenzies for help. If only they went down to the Mackenzies for help. They should have done that. They should have done that. Fuck, I want to do that video. I'm totally doing that. I might do it as soon as I jump off here. I have to. It's just funny. Just funny. Or maybe I'll save it. Let this show, because I don't want to like eat into my algorithm. So maybe I'll let this show breathe a bit, and then maybe I'll do it next week. I'll save it and I'll do it next week. But look out for it, because I'm going to dive deep, man. It's going to get fucking epic. It's just silly. It's just fun stuff. I like doing things like that. It's fun. It's fun. It's going to be great. All right, we'll go a little bit longer here. I had some time this afternoon on this Friday to jump on and talk about, well, what the main topic is, and then answer some questions. Frank says there's something disturbing about a little girl being chased by an old man in a long trench coat. It's totally true. Let's see. Mason James says, Dave, Michael is now a zombie because no human body getting shot 5 times, stabbed in the stomach, pitchfork in the back, and hit by a truck at high speed, I guess you mean. Let's make it realistic. No human could survive that. Well, I disagree. I mean, obviously people have been shot multiple times and have survived. Look at 50 Cent. Isn't that a running joke that he was shot 9 times? He actually was and survived. I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, that the more damage that Michael takes, obviously, the less human he becomes. But see, at the end of the day, at least I hope people haven't misunderstood me when I've said this. In the original Halloween, which this is a direct sequel to, these 3 films, yes, Michael is human, but there is that supernatural element. It's the unknown factor. It's the not understanding how he's able to do what he did or does what he does. Yes, he bleeds. Yes, he gets injured. Yes, he falls down. Now, there's a line, there's a threshold that you do not want to cross. And you don't want to cross it because then you are moving into literally Jason Voorhees supernatural territory. And you don't want to cross that line. But being shot in and of itself doesn't mean you're going to die. Certainly we know he was captured, so he received medical aid. I mean, so I don't know. It depends on where he's been these last 4 years. I completely understand what people are saying. Have they crossed that threshold yet? If they haven't crossed it yet, they're very close. They're very, very close to crossing it. Very close. So I hope they don't go, they don't jump the shark like they did in the later sequels. That's my hope. That's my hope. Lee Bowers says, "Hey Dave, happy Friday. Happy to you too. I can't wait for ends, but I hope they don't get Michael to talk. If they do, I'll get up and walk out of the theater with disappointment." No, they're not going to let him talk. There's no way. There's no way he's going to talk. He's not going to talk. And if they do, I agree with you. It's a catastrophic failure. He must never talk. We must never know why he was doing what he was doing. It should always remain a mystery. Should always remain an enigma. At the end of the day, we must never, ever know. Never. Let's see here. Jake Corinthos. Is that how you say that? Corinthos? I think that's how you say it. I know someone who has his organs in a sack because he was shot in the stomach with a 12 gauge at close range. Shocking what people can survive. It really is. And then, of course, you add the supernatural element to Michael's character. Who knows? But yeah, there is a threshold. And that threshold would be Michael's body blowing up and then being assembled back together. Like, you can't do that shit. Drowning in a lake and suddenly coming back. You can't do that. There's things. That's why Michael burning at the end of part 2 made sense to me. Perfect. Yeah, because he's not inhuman. There's just something there. Diamond Rattler sends in $2. Thank you, Diamond. Says, "So why does Laurie look happy in ends?" Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You're 4 years in the future, right? I don't think she's look, I think that we haven't seen any screen grab. First of all, we haven't seen any screen grabs from Halloween Ends. What you're saying is, why does Jamie Lee Curtis look happy on the set of Halloween Ends? Right? Well, it's a candid photo of Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not a candid photo of Laurie Strode, right? So she's just smiling for the camera. That's all, right? What Laurie Strode is going to be like in Halloween Ends, that's different. But I do believe that we are going to see a very different Laurie Strode. A Laurie Strode that may be happy, or not happy, but a Laurie Strode that may have received counseling. Obviously, she looks better. She's dyed her hair. She's maybe got a little job or something. I don't know. She's maybe trying to move on with her life. Who knows? Because like I said on yesterday's show, the character of Laurie realizing that it was never about her is a humongous blow to the identity of that character. She's lost her complete identity. And now she's in her 60s. She's got to make that up. Who am I? If I'm not the crazy girl thinking that Michael's going to kill me, thinking that Michael is after me, thinking that it was all about me, who am I? who am I? Right? So that's intriguing. That's intriguing. But is she happy? Well, not necessarily, you know. Yeah, you're basing that on behind the scenes photos of Jamie Lee Curtis in the Laurie Strode costume, not Laurie Strode. So keep that in mind. The horror noobs. I like that. The horror noobs. Dave, what did you think of the look of Leatherface in the new movie? For me, I would have liked to have seen a dried up, brittle mask from the OG. But were you pleased with how he looked? Yeah, I didn't have any issues with how he looked. I think that was the least of the issues with Texas Chainsaw. So yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind how he looked. I thought the actor they hired, in terms of his stature and size, definitely felt like Gunnar Hansen for sure. I definitely appreciated that attention to detail. You know, it didn't feel like in the remake from 3 or 4. I always get that mixed up. I think it's 3. Obviously, it's a bigger guy, but it's not supposed to be the same guy from because it's a remake, right? But I'm glad they didn't hire like some 6'7" hulking, you know, because like what the hell has he been doing the last 40 years? So yeah, I liked it, and the fact that he cut, you know, it was fine. It was fine to me. It was fine to me. I didn't mind it. All right, we'll go another 9 minutes. Take this thing to 90 minutes. 90 minutes on the dot. 90 minutes on the dot. Justin Goodrich says, you mentioned not wanting to see Michael's process. I couldn't agree more. I.e. being Big Little John's death. Did Michael go through their records looking for the perfect song for their death display? Well, okay, so let me reiterate what I said yesterday. When I say I don't want to see Michael's process, again, what I mean is I don't want to see, I'm specifically talking about seeing Michael in a vulnerable position. So, for example, one of the cringiest moments for me is seeing Michael in Halloween 5 crawling like a helpless bum out of the mine shaft, right? It's blown up. He falls into the river. He's, you know, like a helpless, you know, bum floating down the river. Then he's stumbling like he's been on an all-night bender into the hermit's place. I don't need to see that. You know, I never want to see Michael vulnerable. Now, that doesn't mean you can't see him shot or, you know, somebody stab him or something. I don't mean that. I just mean like where he's a fish out of water and he's vulnerable. I don't need to see his process of how he gets out of that vulnerability. That's what I mean by that. I don't mean his process in general, because you have to remember that Michael in Halloween 1 displayed the tombstone on the bed and had Laurie's body displayed. So although, you know, it took me a bit by surprise to see the bodies displayed in Halloween Kills and, you know, music on, I don't think I necessarily would have had music, but the displaying of Big John, Little John in the way, that's in line with Michael's MO. It's in line with his MO. Although he didn't do it, I don't think he really did it in 2 and things like, well, I guess he hung the security guard and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, Michael displaying bodies is not unprecedented, right? So I don't mind that stuff. It's just, I don't need to see his process of how he escapes or gets out of a burning building or, you know, floating down. I don't need to see that. I don't want to see Michael vulnerable, Michael weak. I don't want to see a weak Michael Myers. He just does. Now, one could say, well, because I thought of this last night, we see his process of how he gets out of the house at the beginning of Kills. That is true. However, I didn't mind it now that I've seen the movie, because I was talking all about that. Leading up to the film, I was like, you know, I don't want to see his process, and I don't need to see him how he gets out of the fire. He could just get out of the fire. I don't need to see it. He's just there. But what they did was they never had Michael in a vulnerable position. Michael was always in control. He was always in control. He wasn't weak during that moment. That scene with him getting out of the fire, grabbing the firefighter, walking out of the house, it was badass. It was absolutely badass, killing the firefighters. He wasn't weak in that moment, right? But imagine if the firefighters came upon Michael and he was lying in the corner and he's like, dude, are you okay? Are you okay? And he got up and he's crawling out of the house, and like, I don't want to see that. That's what I'm talking about. I don't need to see his process. That's what I mean when I say that. But his process in general, well, no, it's fine if he's in control, right? I don't need to see him displaying the body because that might look a little funny. Him displaying the bodies you don't need to see that. But the fact that he does do that, he's been doing that since the OG. So, but thank you for the question. Diamond Rattler sends in another $5. Thank you, buddy. He says, it will make disappointed if Michael is dead in ends. What if our characters are just dealing with the aftermath of kills? Well, Diamond, you're talking about a hypothetical that is not going to happen. We know that James Jude Courtney is in the movie. We know that Michael Myers is in the movie. So I guess you're talking about a hypothetical. You're talking about something kind of like what John Carpenter wanted to do with his original idea for Halloween 4, make it a bit more cerebral, that Michael Myers is actually dead and it's the town of Haddonfield. It's the suppression of Halloween and the suppression of that ironically sort of brings the spirit of Michael back. That's not what they're doing with Kills. So I'm not saying that it couldn't work, but it would be a strange creative decision to make and make Halloween Ends more of a drama. It would be a strange change of course with this story. So no, that isn't what they're doing. You can take that to the bank. They're not going to do that. Michael is alive. He is well, and he is in Halloween Ends. Now, how he's killed in Halloween Ends, I don't know. Not sure, but we will find out. We will find out. All right, 3 more minutes to go. 3 more minutes to go, ladies and germs. But let me see. I'm trying to get somebody I haven't got yet. Somebody I have not got. Seeing all the usual suspects in here. Good job. Good job. Okay. Cool. Yeah, pretty much everybody I think I've answered at least once today, but yeah, let's do this one again here. We got Thomas Cohen just says someone must have gave him lessons. Yeah, well, that's it, right? You don't need to know. Now, somebody say, well, you see Michael driving. Yeah, and it is, there has always been kind of a funny thing about that. I admit it's always been kind of funny to see him drive, but he's in control. So you kind of go, oh, whatever, but I don't need to see him driving. I certainly don't need to see him driving. That's for sure. Blunt8401 says, why don't any of the Halloween movies ever make Michael a smart killer, such as stealing a bulletproof vest from some of the cops he has killed to maybe explain how he's able to get shot multiple times? Well, I think it's because that would imply, that goes against, you have to think about again, now you're bringing reasoning, more of a conscious compartmentalization, self-aware Michael, okay? When you, keep in mind, think about the original inception and creation of what the character is. And you don't have to look any further than going back to what I was talking about on yesterday's show about Dr. Loomis's speech in the original film, right? Where, about how there's no conscience, no reason, no understanding, even in the most rudimentary sense of good or evil, life or death. That means that what that means essentially, it's more nuanced than what I'm saying, but what that essentially means is there's no rhyme or reason for what's going on here. They have not been able to figure out a rhyme or reason for this. There is no motive. There is no rhyme or reason. He doesn't understand even the most rudimentary things, right? Which is the simplest things, good or evil, right or wrong, up, down, left, right. Now, that doesn't mean that he's, mentally, inept. I mean, it doesn't mean that he doesn't understand what a glass of juice is or what a car is, or it doesn't mean that. We're talking about motive. We're talking about compartmentalizing and having clearly defined self-awareness of actions and things like that. It's instinctual. It just is. It's like a cat, it just is. It just is. And so if you have Michael Myers suddenly become very self-aware and, suddenly walking into Walmart trying to steal a bulletproof vest and things, then you imply conscious reasoning. And that's not something that Michael has. If you shoot a dog, the dog doesn't have the dog doesn't have the awareness to then go to the store or go to the vet and get help, or go to the store and buy a bulletproof vest, right? Or a cat. Same thing. And I know that might not be the answer people want to hear, because people tend to think of the character of Michael as a whole, but you got to forget the sequels. And even in the sequels, he wouldn't do that, but you got to forget the sequels, because the sequels, there was motive, right? Laurie was the sister. Jamie was the niece. We're talking about the Michael from the original film only. Okay. And this is, it's like how you can't reason with your dog, right? Your dog doesn't understand, your dog doesn't understand English. What the dog understands is the sounds and the tones of words, right? So the word sit, the way how that sounds, sit, that sound, the dog has learned. You've taught the dog knows to, I do this action. And if you're doing classical conditioning, you know that the dog has learned that if I do that, I'll get a treat, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's very similar in that way. It's instinctual. And that's how I've always seen it. And what I think it's evil. It just is. It just is. It just is. And so, I think if you were to introduce that kind of self-awareness, then you're removing the whole point of Michael Myers and what makes Michael Myers so great. So hopefully that answered your question. Diamond Radler says JJC could be an imagination plot. Could be, but it isn't. I think you better, I just want to say, if your expectations are there, you might want to temper those expectations. That's all I'm saying. But you never know. You never know. But I would temper those things. Rio Reveal sends in 279, says, have you seen A24's movie X? It's so good. I have not seen X yet. No, that's one of those movies I have to see. I have not seen X yet. Okay. I think that's it. I think we're good. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me here on this Friday show. I had a bit of time this afternoon. I know I just did a show yesterday. Tune into that one as well, because we were talking all about theories about Halloween Ends. You might want to check that out. And I saw this funny little thing today with the Halloween title cards. Thought I'd jump on and talk about it as well. Thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, for doing what you guys do. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you to all the Super Chat questions that came in, the non-Super Chat questions, of course. Really appreciate that. And yeah, let me know your thoughts below. Let me know your thoughts on Halloween Ends. Let me know your thoughts on what font you think the Halloween Ends title card is going to be. Not the title on the poster. Not the title on the poster, because the font on the Halloween 18 and Kills poster is also different from the font they used for the title in the movies. So, but let me know, because the title, again, just to recap, for those of you that might have tuned in late, the title here, the font is the same, and the font here is the same font they used for the first Halloween and the second Halloween. They're slightly different. So does that mean we're going to get maybe the Halloween 4 font for Ends, which is the same as Halloween 2, but with a larger H? I don't know. Let me know. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. I love it. Deep sea. This is very serious stuff amongst us Halloween fans. This is very, very serious stuff here. Very serious stuff. Very serious stuff. Anyways, folks, have a great April Fool's Day. Have a great rest of your weekend as well. And I will talk to you soon. Alrighty. Cheers.